After learning about the pivot tables, let us now move on to charts and graphs. Charts and graphs are visual representations of data that can help you to understand and communicate your data more effectively. There are many different types of charts and graphs available in Excel, and the best type of chart or graph for your data will depend on the type of data that you have and the message that you want to communicate. So you must keep in mind these factors before choosing a particular chart type. So let us now get started with creating a chart. In the previous exercise, we created a pivot table, which can be seen right now. Now, one way to create a chart is to use this pivot table. So select the pivot table and then go to Charts under the Insert tab. I will go to the Column Chart option and select this. You can see that all the fields that were listed in the pivot table are also listed in the chart. For example, the filtering criteria that we set up in the pivot table shows here in the chart as well. So when I select the option Good in the chart here, you can see that the pivot table also gets filtered accordingly. Let me now bring it back to the original state. Next, we have the branch details in the legends. So these are legends over here. Then under the x-axis, we have the pizza type. And then we have the sum of quantity. Each bar here is the value, which is the total quantity sold for each pizza type, and color coding here shows the quantity per region. If you hover over this bar, you can easily identify the region, pizza type, and the quantity sold for that category. For instance, here it says Oregon, and the type of pizza is chicken feast, and the quantity sold is 156. So by hovering over each block, you can get the exact details, and just looking at this chart gives you a high-level overview of the distribution of sales across different regions for each pizza type. So here we created the chart with the help of a pivot table that we had already created. Now another way to create a chart or graph in Excel is to select the data that you want to chart or graph. Once you have selected the data, you can create a chart or graph by clicking on the Insert tab, and then in the Charts group, click on the type of chart or graph that you want to create. Or you can go to the Recommended Charts option, as Excel can help you select the best chart based on the data that you have selected. So in this case, I will go with the clustered column chart and then click on OK. So the chart here shows the total number of pizzas sold across each branch without any breakup for the pizza types. Here on the right side, we have the pivot chart fields where we can make changes to the chart by adding or removing fields under various areas. For example, I can move the branch field under the legend area and pizza type under the categories or axis. So here each color represents a particular branch. So if we look at the category BBQ chicken, we can see that it is sold only in the Oregon region and the total value is 445. And the same can be verified from the table here. The BBQ Philly steak is sold only in the Nevada region, as we can see in the table as well. Now if we look at chicken ball, it is sold in 3 regions and so on. Now if you want, you can also change the chart type by right-clicking on it and selecting the Change Chart Type option. So under the column chart type, I will select this stacked column chart and click on OK. I find this view to be better and more easy to understand. So based on how you want to present your data, you can choose the chart type accordingly. So here we have the filter based on the pizza type. The x-axis shows the pizza type, y-axis shows the quantity, and the bars show the breakup of the type of pizza sold across each region. Now, like we had in the other chart, if you want to add a remarks filter to the chart, you can drag and drop that field under the filter area. So if now I filter the chart as per the remarks good, that is where the quantity sold is more than 150, this is how it would look like. Let me revert it. So that is how you can create a chart. Once you have created your chart, you can also customize your chart. For that, right click on the chart and then select Format Chart Area. On the right side, you can see Format Chart Area. Here you can find different options to format your chart. So you can play around with it, make changes and see how your chart looks like. Or if you just want to change the font, you can right click and then select font here. I'll cancel it for the time being. It is just to make you aware that you have all these options available to format your chart. And as I said earlier, when creating a chart, you can either go with the Excel recommended chart in the chart panel under the Insert tab or other chart options as per your need. Other than these, you can see the Pivot Chart Analyze, which has more advanced options. Here you can add more features to your chart, but since this is a beginner level course, I will not venture out much into it and stick to the basics as of now. Moving ahead, let us talk about the most commonly used charts and graphs in Excel. For that, I will once again go to the Insert tab. The first one you see here is the column chart. These are used to show changes in data over time. Bar charts are similar to column charts, but they are used to show comparisons between different categories of data. Then we have the line or area charts that are used to show trends in data over time. Next, the pie charts are used to show the parts of a whole. And the scatter charts are used to show the relationship between two sets of data. So selecting between these charts depends upon the data that you have and what is that you want to communicate with that data. Let me go back to the sales sheet. Now if we go to the Home tab, you can see the Analyze Data option over here. This feature is available with Excel 2010 and higher versions. If you click over here, you would get the benefits of data analysis at a single click, and there are some predefined templates that you can make use of. So based on the data that you have, there are over 28 types of insights for this data. Here you also have the option to ask a question and perform analysis on your data. So when I click over here, it has suggested some questions on its own based on the data that we have selected. For example, percentage distribution of branch, distribution of order number by pizza type, etc. Other than that, you have pre-built pivot table, chart, pivot chart, etc. So for example, if I want to showcase the price per quantity by branch, I can insert that pivot chart with a single click. So when I click, it has created a new sheet called Suggestion, which has the pivot chart. So each branch here has two bars for remarks, one for 0 and one for good. It also has the corresponding pivot table in the same worksheet. Under the Analyze Data section, you can see that it has 28 more suggestions. So this way, the Analyze Data option helps you to present data in different ways instantaneously. These come really handy, especially for beginners or those who are new to data analysis.